You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the April 13th meeting for the Long Beach Town Council. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Thank you, everyone, for attending the April Town Council meeting.
I muted everybody.
Let's please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Meg, could you please take roll call?
Sure. President Joy Schmidt,
Here.
Anita Remigis,
Present.
Kendra Bartlett,
Here.
Colleen Lane,
Here.
Cindy Levy,
Here.
Chief Swistek,
Present.
Attorney Willoughby,
Present.
Clerk Collins, I am present, and that concludes roll.
Thank you. I have no opening remarks. First on the agenda is our consent agenda.
Oh, you were going to add something?
No, Mark is.
And before you make a motion,
Yes, I do have an opening remark. We were just going to ask that people not use our personal phone numbers.
For council members, for town employees, people are sometimes, they have access to those numbers. And there's a reason why some people have access to those numbers. What we're asking is that those are not used for anything other than any business. And even with Chief Swistek, if there's a reason or an emergency, we also have emergency numbers, but, you know, phone calls at 7:00 on a Saturday night that are not emergencies, phone calls to or text to council members that are not emergencies. We're just asking people to be mindful. Some of us volunteer a lot of time, some of us volunteer a lot of time and they get paid for time, but just be mindful if you have access to those numbers, please. Thank you.
Thank you. For our consent agenda, I would entertain
Joy,
a motion.
I just was going to add, I passed out the quarterly memo, and it's the last one. This was not part of the packet. So the thing to note is just that the annual financial report was reviewed by President Schmidt before final submission in Gateway. And this concludes the audit follow-up on this repeat comment. This is the last quarterly memo. Again, it just wasn't part of the packet, so I wanted to point it out. It is part of this consent agenda.
Okay, thank you, Meg. So I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, which consists of approval of the minutes from the council meeting on March 9th, 2026, the Building Street Revenue Report for March 2026, permits approved totaling $1,724 with revenue of $12,481, 2 electric permits plus an add-on issued for $356, legal expenses paid in March to Brady, Nelson and Janes of $12,950, counting expenses paid to Sender Dalton, $5,555.46, the lobbyist, $6,250, invoices for payment approval, the Corridon Group, $6,250, Haas and Associates for the Lakeshore Drive project, $41,184.70, Wall Constructors, $8,045.83, town checks, $22,454 to $22,522, totaling $219,567.76, water checks,
555.84 to 556.11 totaling $108,896.12. March payroll, $76,174.72. The combined bank reconciliation and the quarterly memo that Meg just discussed. Anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make that motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Consent agenda is approved. Now we're opening to public comments, but these are not the public comments for the Lakeshore Drive project. These are just our regular public comments. If anyone in the audience have a public comment about something besides Lakeshore Drive? Anyone on Zoom have a comment? Anything besides Lakeshore Drive? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the presentation of the Lakeshore Drive paving project update by Haas and Associates Engineering.
Good evening, everyone. Ryan Laughlin with Haas and Associates. I hope you can hear me all right. I'm going to keep this pretty brief tonight. As Mark kind of alluded to earlier, the main purpose really is to get input from the residents regarding the preliminary drawings that have been published on the website and are available now for everyone's review. So I think what maybe as a primer for that comment period, I'll just touch on kind of how we got here. So at the prior workshop that the town had on October 30th of last year, they approved some directives regarding the design of this project. So I'll just review those so they're fresh in everyone's mind. The main changes to the road are that the road will be reconstructed as opposed to just milling and paving. When that's done, the lanes will be standardized as 10 feet wide, and there will be some slight adjustment to the alignment of the road, again, to help standardize the alignment throughout the right-of-way. There'll be 1 foot shoulder in some locations where necessary. And they adopted a minimum lateral offset from the road, from the travel lane of 1 foot. So any vertical obstruction, which is like a fixed object that could impact a vehicle within that 1 foot minimum offset from the road, will be removed or relocated if possible. They also approved a desired minimum lateral offset, which is 4 feet from the edge of the travel lane. And anything within that area that's reasonable for the town to be able to remove or relocate will be removed or relocated as necessary. All of this is done in a strategic and sensitive manner with the express purpose of minimizing impacts to residential property that's been constructed in the right-of-way, and to minimize impacts to parking. So those are kind of the guiding principles that we used to refine and develop the preliminary drawings, which you may or may not have seen, but they're, as again, published on the website and available for review. So the kind of impacts that are expected, which you may have already seen if you've reviewed the drawings, include things like impacts to power poles. We're going to push those away from the road. Trees may be removed and replaced. Residential property, again, like retaining walls and things of that nature, landscaping, etc. Mailboxes. So those are the main types of things that are sort of impacted by the council directives that were approved again in October of last year. So in addition to those kind of road-centric improvements, the project is also going to make some comprehensive improvements to the drainage all the way along Lakeshore Drive. So there's approximately 13 locations along there that will address stormwater. Again, comprehensive solution there. I think that's about all I have to say right now, but there may be questions possibly that we might be able to answer during this, but so we'll be here available for that purpose. But
Right.
that's Yeah.
Brian, a couple of things if you could touch on before you step away. The grant deadline, if you could briefly just touch on that for everybody's knowledge.
Yeah, so the town is seeking funding, a significant amount of funding, hopefully, through the NDOT CCMG grant program. That's the Community Crossings Matching Grant. And that submittal deadline for that application is at the end of July. So our goal is to submit at the beginning of July with the hopes that that may have some positive impacts on the prospects of the grant. It's become more competitive in recent years. So the earlier we can get that submittal in, the better.
Then if you could touch on the multiple phases in us starting down at stop 13, working our way to the east.
Sure. So the drawings that have been prepared right now, the preliminary drawings cover the entire length of Lakeshore Drive from stop 13 to 31. The initial construction project won't cover that entire range. It will maybe cover the first phase of construction, which is expected to, again, assuming the grant is received, would commence maybe at the end of this year. And that would, imagine the entire length of the road split into, I think, approximately 4 groupings, and they would happen sequentially starting at stop 13 and moving along.
Last item is the stormwater management, how we're going to be handling that in comparison in years previous, how the town has handled stormwater management, where some of it is discharged out to the lakefront. If you could talk about the dry wells and then the 12-inch pipe down the center of the road, that new concept that we'll be utilizing.
So the drainage systems that we'll be placing along the roadway, they include like typical inlets that you would normally see. And then they also include some dry wells. But in addition to that, there'll be a layer in that vicinity around those inlets and those structures in that vicinity. There will be a layer underneath the road that is highly porous, basically with a lot of voids in it so that you can store water underneath the road. And with that, we're able to store significantly more water and hopefully at a better cost to the town. So the stormwater improvements right now are not going to include new outlets toward the beach. So hopefully we can just infiltrate directly into the sand.
Thank you. One of the other things, we had a meeting last week with our street superintendent, is all of our catch basins in town have filters installed in them. So a lot of the materials, rocks, leaves, runoff from the roads, cigarette butts, we catch all of that in our filtration system before it gets through the catch basin into the dry well, which then assists the town employees with less maintenance on our stormwater infrastructure, longer life cycle on it as well. So, thank you to both Sam and Ryan for this new concept that they've come up with. We're really, appreciating the fact that we won't be shedding our stormwater out to the lakefront as we are currently doing at several locations. So our goal is to continue improving that for the town as well. So
I
thank
should
you.
just add one qualifier to that. It's not to say that all stormwater from every storm
Right.
intensity would not, the storm system is designed for roughly a 10-year storm, which I won't go into all those details, but not every storm is going to be contained within the road and the new system.
Thank you.
Yep.
I guess, are there any questions from you guys?
Any questions?
Do you guys have,
We're ready for,
Does anyone choose? Does
do you
anyone?
guys have any questions from the council?
You said
and council have any questions? Okay, it's time for public comments relative to the Lakeshore Drive project. They'll be limited to 3 minutes, and like Chief said, we can't possibly have a back and forth and answer everyone's questions tonight, so that's why we're trying to collect the questions, and then we will contact everyone personally. So, do we have any comments in the audience? Can you come up, William? give us your name and address.
Good evening, Megan Miller, 2110 Lakeshore Drive. You mentioned there's 4 phases of this plan, and we know that this is an area that hasn't been touched in a long time, so we're going to run into lots of different issues. What if you run out of money?
I guess I can answer on the town's behalf as our 20% match. So the grant would provide 80% funding to the town.
And what are the numbers?
What was the final number, Ryan, for the reconstruction? Just under 5 million roughly. So each year we'll apply for $1 million in funding, 800,000 from the state, 200,000 match from the town. In our 5-year capital plan for the town, we have already set aside in the 5-year capital plan funding to cover this project for the next 5 years. So the town's funding through the Motor Vehicle Highway Fund, tax levies, stormwater funds, all of the multiple funds for the town, we have the funding to cover our 20% match. If by chance there's a year that we don't receive the funding from the state of Indiana, from INDOT.
Year
I'm sorry?
or the initial year?
Correct. Then it would be a decision of the council to just parlay the project for a year. Nothing would be done until we reapply for the grant cycle so that we can get the $800,000.
So the 4 phases is over 4 years?
Correct.
Right.
We can only apply for a maximum of $1 million per year.
Okay. Initially, though, Lakeshore Drive needs to be resurfaced.
Correct.
So when do we find out? Obviously, it's the 31st that we find out if you get the grant or we don't get the grant.
It would be this fall, we would find out.
Okay, this fall. Are you going to eventually, like, if you don't get it, what are the plans? Is there a backup?
Through the town, obviously, would have to look at its multiple sources of funding to address the needs there. And then obviously the plans would probably have to change. So a lot of unknowns.
A lot of unknowns.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay.
Find parking. I usually ride my bike or walk, but in any case, Paul Ashelman, 2023. I reviewed the plans online and I previously commented, what are the accommodations for all the other uses besides automobiles in this space? I didn't see any markings or diagrams or anything else suggesting any use other than automobiles in this space. And of course, we all know that the space is heavily used by golf carts, electric bikes, cyclists, et cetera, et cetera. So will there be drawings at some point in time showing pedestrian safety, bike safety, golf cart safety accommodations?
We haven't discussed any signs, but there's going to be nothing on the pavement, no lines, no anything,
Really? Nothing?
nothing.
No shared use signage, no chevrons, no green markings that you see in most communities across the country these days?
We have
That
discussed it
seems,
and
seems kind of backwards when most companies, both sides of Long Beach have some kind of shared markings.
actually, we've been told by the engineers and some other studies that actually it slows people down if you don't have any lines.
Yeah, okay. I
Thank
think
you.
there's a lot of data suggesting otherwise.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Jack Carey with 3008 Lakeshore Drive. I just have one question on the plans that you sent out. There's the minimal offset and then there's the desired offset. Has that been determined yet as far as which one you're going with?
Well, some parts of the road are already 25 feet wide. So in those areas, it would be 4 feet, but when it comes in, we'll go down to 1 foot.
Okay, because I mean, that's can determine like if it's 4 feet, we would lose most of our parking.
Yeah,
If 1 foot, we'd still be able to do it, but it'd be obviously 4 feet. we wouldn't have any parking in front of our house.
No, we don't intend to go into your driveway by 4 feet, only in areas where it's already that wide.
Okay.
I think it's been made clear at pretty much all of our meetings that there's no intention to take anybody's parking. I think that that's been stated quite a bit. Go ahead, Sam.
Just to talk more about the parking, we've ensured that we make sure that all the parkings that are in existence right now remain in existence. And just like you mentioned, we have a minimum of 1 foot offset from the edge of pavement, meaning that we don't want cars to be parked 1 foot, more than 1 foot towards the road. That means that you should still have your parking intact, and that we are not going to encroach into your driveway by 4 feet. It's going to be 1 foot. And there's not going to be a roadway there. It's just like a buffer from the edge of pavement to your driveway.
You have to speak into the microphone so people on Zoom can hear you. There's over 40 people.
Sorry, Anita.
It's okay.
Are you just talking about driveways, but what about like the side streets? Because a lot of people use that as, because that's confusing to me, because even like right now, driving around, and I live here, as we all do all year round, there's no room to take a foot here, a foot there. I mean, even today, because there's a lot of people working on their homes, I mean, it's dodging and weaving trucks and all that. So I don't really understand how you're saying we're not going to lose our parking.
Is there any specific address that you're?
I live at 2110 Lakeshore Drive. So if you take a foot
Okay.
off of my side,
Sam, we have to make sure that people can hear what's going on. People
go
on
ahead,
Zoom.
Sam, step up.
And I think we talked about like, not a lot of, we can answer some questions more,
Well,
but
he
Sam's
just-
happy
he
to
just made
answer.
a-
No, he did. He's happy
Definitive
to answer.
statement that none of our
Oh.
parking is going to be
We
affected,
said we've talked about.
but
yeah,
it's going to be. You
Yeah.
know that as well as anybody.
Yeah, I think we just all need to just
Parking.
clarify, I don't think anyone on either side of the aisle should make any promises at all. No one should be saying,
Which definitively
Okay.
said that.
that's why
I
we're
think
stopping
that's
that right now. So if that was said, we will take that back.
I take
We
that back.
hope to not, but let's just everybody be clear. No one is making any promises on either side that no one is losing or not losing. Like, this is a process that's trying to be fair. So nothing said here is like a legal thing. So just stop with it was said, you promised. Like, let's just
I'm not
all
saying
get
you were-
along
but
and
this
let's
is
listen to
discussion.
Sam.
And when somebody says.
Right. And one person says a little comment and then everyone runs with, you just said you're not taking my parking. He just said it. He just said it. So let's just
Absolutely.
listen to the engineers and we're trying to all work through this together. There are
Well,
no.
that's why we're here to find
Right.
out
And the minute
answers.
somebody says something, everyone jumps on. You just said you're not taking my parking. So are you going to confirm that? Well, that's not what we're here for.
It's been our goal. But Sam is speaking to it, so he's answering your question.
So generally, we try to optimize the parking and maintain as those side street parking, the parallel parkings. So what I was just trying to say is that wherever there is a parking, there's a minimum of 1 foot offset from the edge of pavement to the parking. And that because of the question that he asked, I wanted to clarify that where there is a parking, we are not going beyond the 1 foot to encroach into a driveway. And maybe my statement was it wasn't very clear. And there could be a specific condition regarding your driveway, which when you, the side parking, every parking has a minimum of 1 foot offset from the edge of pavement, meaning that no parking should encroach into the road by 1 foot or 1 foot outside of the edge of pavement. No parking should encroach into the road. So, but if there is a specific situation that we need to address regarding your condition, we can look at it and maybe talk more about it. If you fill out the form, we'll discuss more about it after now.
And that's a great point, Sam. To Mrs. Miller's point, that's what we'd like to do is there are going to be a number of residents where we'll probably have to meet with you one-on-one to have a discussion, reference your concerns. This way, for peace of mind, you then will have an opportunity to speak to the engineers, the project team. So please fill out the QR code. Okay, great. And then as we continue to work on the preliminary designs, things may still change once we submit the grant applications. Projects like these, there's change orders that occur. There's different things that, curveballs that get thrown at us on any given project. So, that's why we wanted to get this out to all of you in advance. We appreciate the opportunity that you guys took the time to meet with us tonight to share your concerns and that. And then we will work with you and be very transparent with you and provide you answers to your questions. So thank you.
Anybody else in the audience like to comment?
Hi, Sharon Sylvester. We have two family houses, 1504 and 1525. This may be in what's online and I haven't seen it. Once construction starts, how do we navigate getting to and from our houses? Is that addressed already in the plans that I just missed?
Like any other project, we will maintain the roadways so residents can get to their homes and
Like
commerce
one
and
lane?
goods. Yes. Yep. Whoever's awarded the contract, it'll be stipulated to them. And if by chance we had to close a road down for a specific reason, we would contact the affected homeowners if like an emergency situation comes up in that. So.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience? Okay, we'll switch over to Zoom. Anyone on Zoom? If you have a comment, please raise your hand.
Here's Bob. Bob Walsh is raising his hand.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for doing this. I just have a question. I don't think I've seen this come up. For those of us on the,
Name and address, please. Sorry.
I've got it up there. Bob Walsh, 2221 LSD. We are curious if there's an opportunity or an option to have the power lines, the utility lines buried if we're digging up the street.
What was the estimate you came up with? Chief actually got an estimate on.
Yeah, Bob, we actually worked with an engineer at the local utilities at NIPSCO, and we were provided a ballpark figure for that request would be about $8 million, and the town would be responsible for that. So that will not be occurring.
And there's no option for from one stop to another to get it done?
No, we will be moving some utilities, possibly in some locations, but when their utilities are in the right of way of the town, they replace with like materials. So if it's overhead utility lines, they replace it with overhead utility lines. We can't request underground utilities unless we're willing to pay for the cost. But great question. We did explore that, and it was too costly to explore.
And if I could ask one last follow-up question, there was some comment about any markings on the roadway. One of the things I loved was the fact that they had the little arrows that if you're on a bike, you go this way. If you're walking, you go that way. Because it seems to be so much confusion with people going every which way. So I would encourage that to be marked. Is that
Thank
not
you.
going to happen?
Okay, thank you.
Ryan's got a comment.
Yes, if I may, I just want to provide a clarification about the markings. I think there was a comment perhaps made that there won't be. Sorry about that. I just want to clarify about the markings. I think there might have been a comment that there won't be any markings, but that's not correct. I think the town has opted to put a dashed center line on the road, the length of the road. There's one location where the site distance won't allow for a dashed kind of passing zone. So there'll be double solid lines in that location. And then we're generally opting for no edge lines. That's a white line on the sides of the road. But in some cases we will show that. And those are areas where we're going to be adding some shoulder, and that'll help keep people off the edge of the road and from deteriorating and accelerating the deterioration of the road.
What I was more talking about is which side of the road people should be on when they're walking.
Yeah. So there's, and it was mentioned before, the Shero, which is, I think, specifically related cyclists. And I don't think that those markings are explicitly ruled out. Some of those decisions can be made in final design. But I'm not sure that there's specific signage, MUTCD wise, regarding the correct location to walk as a pedestrian. But again, that's something that can be refined in final design.
Thank you.
Lori, you're up next. Lori Stinson, you have your hand up?
You see you, Lori? Lori?
All right. Abby Neary, you're next.
Great, thank you. One question was, you mentioned a QR code. Is that also going to be posted online?
Yes, it will be made available online, and also a town email will be sent out tomorrow morning.
Great, thank you. And then one thing I did not see in the latest report is the estimated cost. Did I miss that somewhere? Is there an estimated cost for?
If you go to the website on the Lakeshore Drive project tab, you'll find in some of the early documents prior to the preliminary design, there were cost estimates in there. And when you look at those, refer to the road construction option. It was roughly around $5 million, but it's on the tab on the website.
But does that $5 million include the most recent updates from the Haas Engineering report about moving various obstructions to the roadway or to the new roadway?
Sam's going to take that question.
So right now, the preliminary engineering plan that we have right now is labeled draft. And we want to get inputs and refine the drawing based on the inputs and the interaction we will have with the town council and residents. And within 10 days, we will produce the final preliminary engineering plans. And that is when we will start working on the cost estimate, because there is no point working on the cost estimate and then incorporating the inputs that we get from residents and then doing it all over again. So that's why we don't have any cost right now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. While you're there, I just had two clarifying questions for you. Is the solid red line that's on the report, is that noting the project limits, like the boundary? Does that mean the lateral offset? And you may not know, I just was having trouble interpreting that, as well as the stormwater legend. I think I saw some spots at 20, 21, et cetera, that had different cross hatching on the roadway. And I was trying to determine if that was where you were talking about the stormwater improvement.
All the lines that we have in the drawing, I think there's a legend that shows, that defines the line. I can't actually visualize the line that you are referring to now, but
yeah, of course.
The solid red line, I think there are a couple of lines there, but all the lines, there's a legend in the second sheet of the set that defines all the lines that are in the drawing right now.
Thank you. And then just one last question for the council, just based on Sam's comments. I think you said you were indicating that you're going to vote on this tomorrow, but yet we still don't have the estimated costs from Sam and Haas Engineering. Is that correct?
No, we're not going to be voting until, I believe we're going to set a meeting for next Tuesday, the 21st.
And at that point, will the residents have had an opportunity to look at those estimated additional costs?
I don't know. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Did you all
Okay.
hear that? So, okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
Ryan's going to address it.
So the costs on the website that you can see now, that they're conceptual costs based on conceptual planning. So we're now in the preliminary design phase, and we're getting close to the end of that preliminary design phase. Once we are essentially at the end, we'll refine those conceptual numbers based on the final preliminary designs. And so those numbers will be refined at that point. And we'll hope to have those available before the vote on the 21st.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Mike Haggerty, you're up next. You have your hand up?
Yes, I do. Thanks. Mike Haggerty, 2513 Lakeshore. Mike Haggerty, 2513 Lakeshore. Chief, I missed the very first part of the meeting where you were talking at the podium. I didn't, what was it you said? There's something, a form we can fill out to ask, because I have a couple different questions.
Sure.
And instead of dragging everybody down, did you say there's a form we can fill out tomorrow or tonight and ask a specific question?
It will be on the town's website in the morning, and also it'll be sent out in the town email. It is a QR code that'll take you to a form with a few questions. Then that'll return to the spreadsheet that goes directly back to the engineering team. So we'll have that information on the website first thing tomorrow morning for you, Mike.
Okay, good. Sorry, I missed it. I just have one question for Brian. You talked about identifying 13 spots for a drainage that is going to get some special work. Was 2513-ish identified as one of those 13 spots? I saw the lines on the map. I couldn't make heads or tails.
I can answer that, Mike. I know we've shared that concern about that 2500 block with the team previously, and they're taking notes tonight to make sure that there's an existing drain that's there on the north side that we had to work with last year. But I know specifically the area you're talking about, and that was discussed as a concern. So
Okay, good. Thanks.
I'm pretty certain it's on the plan.
All right, thanks. I'll check out that QR code in the morning.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Eric's iPhone, you are up next, Eric.
Hi there. Pardon me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Eric Scroggins, 2505 Lakeshore Drive. So, and I apologize. I was just able to join a short while ago, so I may be asking about something you've already answered, and if that's the case, feel free to tell me or get back with me later. But there was, in the original plan from the engineers, there were some safety recommendations regarding lines, markings on the street. And one of those was pretty well spelled out about how putting markings on the street actually is not good for the kind of street this is, where you've got traffic, you've got, walkers and riders. And the recommendation, as I understood it from the engineers, was actually to not have the marking, to not have the center line, because it allows people to adjust more. It makes it more like a promenade along the lake instead of a road where there's strict and you drive on one side, that kind of thing. So I guess I would appreciate to hear from the council why they chose not to follow that particular recommendation.
Well, I don't think we've actually made that decision yet, but
Well, I think I heard earlier that the council's decided to go with a center line marking.
yeah, Ryan, can you get that?
So our recommendation did not include a center line marking. However, the dashed line that the town council opted for is not especially concerning from our perspective. What would be concerning is a double solid line that encourages or requires no passing. So we were definitely against that. However, the solid dash line is not, it's not our specific recommendation, but we're not, terribly against it either, if that helps.
Well, there's a difference between not terribly against and for. So I guess I'd like to understand, what exactly the engineering recommendation is on that road from a safety perspective, and understand where the council's going to fall out. Thank you.
Thank you. Lori, you have your hand up. Lori Stinson.
Yes, Lori Stinson, Stat 1516.
Go ahead, Lori.
I just have a question. So I know things are still in planning stages, but I know you talked about earlier that there may need to be removals of trees and other obstructions. So if there is to be something removed, that there's a cost associated with that, who will pick up that cost?
It would be part of the project.
So individuals are not responsible for it.
No, if it's a tree or something that's in the right of way that we have to remove, it would be part of the project.
Okay, thank you.
Steve Napleton.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. Thank you. Steve Napleton. I live at 2524 Lakeshore Drive. I apologize. I joined a bit late as well, but I wanted to know on the recent survey that was sent out to residents. It brought up the issue of sewer, which was a hot issue when we first bought our house 4 years ago. With the road being torn, the decision to tear it down to really completely, it seems like it would be very, very much more cost effective to think about installing sewer as this road project goes up, rather than perhaps if it gets revisited later on to tear up the road in order to do that. Is that something that the council has considered along with this? And if so, I'm curious what the status is on that. Thank you.
We have discussed it, and I don't believe that a gravity sewer will ever go down Lakeshore Drive. And if a sewer does go down Lakeshore Drive, it'll probably be low pressure, which you don't have to dig up the whole road for. And at this point, Michigan City is talking about annexing anyone who has connected to Michigan City Sanitary District. So no, there's no plan for a sewer at this time.
All right, I'm not showing any other hands up at this time. Are there any other public comments relative to the Lakeshore Drive project from anyone on Zoom? Last call for any public comments on Zoom. Let's see here. Arter, did you have a question?
Yes, thanks. I had trouble hitting the right icon there. Sorry about that. I was clapping instead of raising my hand. Sorry about that.
No problem.
But actually, that's a good way to start, because I do want to thank the council for all the communication and all the opportunities to provide input. I got two real simple questions. One was about project timing. There's multiple references in the latest document about the final design phase. Could somebody just remind us, when is that period between now and July 31st? When's the final design phase?
Ryan, you want to take that?
So assuming the council approves our proposal for final design services at the meeting on the 21st, we would start immediately and look to wrap that period by approximately when we submit for the NDOT grant. However, you don't have to have complete drawings by the time you submit the application. So the actual refinement and completion of those contract documents would extend probably beyond July 1st or early July. Hopefully that answers the question.
It did, Ryan. Thanks. And while you're there, hey, Ryan, while you're there, just one other question. I don't think we've ever heard about the elevation of Lakeshore Drive after project's all done. I'm just curious, will the road surface be in general the same or higher or lower than it is today? I ask only because it makes a difference in terms of whether water from the street flows towards our houses or away from them.
Yeah, just given how built up this right of way is, there's not really, and given the limited scope and of this project and how little it's impacting ultimately what is built up in the right of way, the grades of the proposed road really are kind of heavily constrained and will end up being roughly the same as what they are now, with the exception of we're likely looking at doing a crowned roadway, which would be a little bit different than what's out there now in some locations. But generally, it would be about the same.
Thank you very much.
All right, last call for any public comment on Zoom. I do not show any other hands up at this time. Last call, public comment on Zoom. All right, thank you.
Okay, we'll close the public comment section on Lakeshore Drive. Thank you, everyone, for coming, for your comments. Please scan the QR code and put in any questions, comments you have, and we will try to reach out to all of you individually. And if you'd love to stay for the rest of the meeting, we welcome you. But if you don't want to, feel free to leave. Thank you. We're now going to move on to committee reports. Police Department, Police Commission, Chief Swistek.
Good evening. For the month of March, the Long Beach Police Department responded to 334 calls for service when compared to 414 in the previous year, for a decrease of 80 calls for service. During the month of March, 10 incident reports were documented. A total of 4 individuals were arrested, 1 felony arrest for theft of a motor vehicle and resisting arrest, 2 misdemeanor arrests for driving with a suspended driver's license, and 1 warrant arrest for the charge of domestic battery. Also during the month, our officers continued to complete their state mandated training through the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy. That consisted of TASER recertification, de-escalation training, handling disturbance calls relative to autism, mental instability. And then this week, they'll be finishing up with a few other of their state mandates, which will put them at about 80% of their training for the year will be completed. The remaining of their training, firearms and emergency vehicle operations, will be completed over the summer. And I'm happy to report that everyone has successfully done a great job on their state mandated training thus far. I want to take a moment to thank Corporal Matthew Farthing. The corporal this year came up with an idea to take all of our auxiliary equipment, our ATVs, anything that isn't one of our 4-wheel motor vehicles like our police patrol units, and he's changing and doing the preventative maintenance in-house, doing the oil changes, changing out the filters, and working on these units here. It saves us the time from an officer coming off the road, having to get a trailer, transport the vehicle, the ATV, to a service center and have the oil changed there at a much higher price than what we can do it in-house. So I want to compliment him for coming up with that cost-saving initiative for the town and for the police department, because it will save on our budget in the long run. So a big thank you to him. There was no police commission meeting. We'll be meeting next quarter.
Thank you, Town Administrator Chief.
Got just a couple of items. About a week ago, I shared with the council that Marsh Court, we will be taking a look at Marsh Court. It's in dire need of some resurfacing. Over the years, due to the recycling and the garbage trucks going through there, the roadway has deteriorated to a point that it needs some work. Also, our plow drivers are having difficulty in the winter navigating it as well due to the numerous potholes. It makes it very difficult for our team to plow. So we'll be reaching out, getting some quotes on that, and hopefully have that at the May Town Council meeting for consideration. Leaf collection reminder, this is your final week up till this Sunday. Please get all your leaves out to the curbside. What that means is to the edge of your property, not 4 feet in your property, 4 feet out into the roadway. As I came to the meeting tonight, coming in from the eastern end of town on Oriole Trail near Belle Plaine, I already see that somebody this afternoon piled their leaves halfway out into Oriole and half on their property. So tomorrow I'll have to be contacting them and having their landscaping company or themselves remove it from the roadway. Otherwise, what happens is we begin to narrow our roadways. Same thing on Floral. I seen that this evening, that Floral Trail has some homes there as well that need to have the leaves pushed back farther onto the property. I know there's a concern that it's going to kill my grass. It's not going to kill your grass in a week's time. We will get them up next week. Please keep them off of the roadway. Also, branches, sticks, large items. There's a pile right here, a block from the town hall. We cannot take those either. So again, please save us the time and energy of having to call everyone. Please remove those as well. Street potholes. The street department has been going around addressing any potholes. If we missed any, please reach out to the town hall. We will come out and address those immediately. The town's team is currently working on spring cleaning at our parks. We have an item on the agenda tonight to address some of the parking lots near our parks as well. All the irrigation systems for the town were turned on last Friday. There were a few minor repairs, but nothing that was no more than a couple $100 to fix. And then this week, Wednesday, we will be pumping all of the septic tanks for all of the town's facilities. So we'll be doing that annual maintenance this week. The spring newsletter, if you don't subscribe on the town's website, I would encourage you to do so, or there are copies outside the meeting room tonight of the spring newsletter. A big thank you to our administrative assistant, Kayla. She does an excellent job of taking all the ideas that we throw at her, and she puts it together quite well. So a big thank you to her. And then the last thing I have is the new town website has been up now for about 2 months. I would encourage everybody to go to the town's website, begin to navigate it, learn the new layout. This evening, just prior to tonight's meeting, I had a couple emails about how do I get the link, the Zoom link for tonight's meeting. It's in the calendar. If you just go to the calendar, click on the specific date, and there you'll find it. Like tonight, you just click on read more. It'll take you right to the Zoom link. So any questions or any suggestions on how we can improve the website, we're always open to new ideas. So please feel free to share those with us. And that's all that I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Volunteer Fire Department, Dave.
Good evening, everyone. This is the report for the year-to-date activity through March 31st. On the fire side, we're running at the same last year, 14 calls, and last year was 14. The breakdown, 9 of the calls in Long Beach, 4 in Doolin, and 1 in Michiana Shores, and that was a reference to mutual aid call. In the month itself, there were 9 calls. We actually had a structure fire. We had a hazardous condition and 7 false alarms. The average turnout of members for a fire call on a trailing 12 basis, 7 members. On the medical side, we're 19% under last year's count. We're at 22 calls year to date. 21 have been in Long Beach, 1 in Doolin. The breakdown for March, we had a respiratory call. We had 3 personal injury calls. I was going to say we had a birth. No, we didn't. We had a sick person and then 3 lift assists. And the year-to-date average membership turnout for medical call, trailing 12 basis, is 5. And fire and medical, we're running about 5 minutes from the time the call is initiated by 911 and our arrival on scene. Members year to date have donated 676 hours. I want to do a little show and tell, if I may, and I'll keep it as brief as possible. This is a lithium battery charger. And this is for a product line you can put in a snow blower. You can snow blower, a blower, very nice feature, lithium. What truly worries me in this community and communities everywhere is what can happen with a lithium battery going bad. I'll just read some of the AI generated information. Lithium battery fires often triggered by thermal runaway due to damages, overcharging, overheating. They rapidly expand, they're violent, and they're difficult to extinguish. If we have an electric EV vehicle and it's on fire, we have a blanket to put it out with. Thermal runaway is a self-sustaining, uncontrollable heating process where one cell fails and causes the others to ignite. Electrical misuse can cause this, overcharging, using incompatible chargers. What they're saying, signs of a potential fire. The device feels hot, obvious. Deformation, it's bulging, it's swelling. Noise and odor, there's an odor that's given off at the initial phase of this. And you'll see smoke. But once again, it's the rapid fire that can develop in a very short period of time. I did a little bit research before, just like we have smoke detectors in our homes. I believe there are some, they might be similar to a CO detector that would work. But I plan on doing a little more research just for our fire department recommendations. And once again, the fire that I was involved with, a little charger like this, was in a bedroom, and it took off, and just blows me away. And the amount of damage it did. So the most important part from what I've been reading, make sure if this is Ego, you have an Ego tool, get an Ego charger. Have the chargers match the product battery. And that to me is, from once again, as I read, is just the difference between not having a fire and having a fire. So that concludes my report, unless there are any questions.
Dave, can you come up here? Sorry.
Thank you. This is a really important issue. I've had friends that have had their houses burned down because of this. So I understand that the charger that was involved with that fire was on carpet. So we need to, I would encourage people to put their charger on cement floors, to not let them be there all night, to check on them. It's a really big issue for our community because of so many people have lithium chargers now. So even bikes.
Dave, if you could just give your name and address for the
Dave Littell, 2520 Oriole Trail.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So I have my chargers for my Ego things and my golf cart in the garage. And I just leave them plugged in, except when I go out of town, and then I unplug everything, but otherwise it's plugged in. So they all match each other, but
Well,
I shouldn't do that.
that's the first and foremost. If it's a match between the charger and the battery.
Okay.
I'll be honest with you, Anita, and this is just me, and I'm not speaking on behalf of the fire department. If I had a golf cart, I'm not sure if I would have it in the house with lithium batteries.
Do you have room in your garage for my golf cart?
No, it scares me.
Okay, all right.
Unlike, the gentleman said,
Mine is just old battery.
No battery.
Old battery.
What, the
New
golf
bat-
cart?
Yeah.
oh no,
I'm not
lithium.
fancy.
No, these are not.
Oh, lithium. Okay. All right,
That,
fine.
no, it's lithium. But as this gentleman mentioned,
Okay.
I saw in the reading, don't put it on a couch where it's where that heat could transfer. the best thing is a hard surface and just keep the charger and the battery a match. But I feel we need to, and you mentioned a fire, and I'm not referring to that fire in what I've said tonight, because that's still under investigation. But I'm aware of some other situations, and it's just Mackinac Island. Last year, they had 3 in the dorms, and they were the scooter bikes. And the apartment was gutted. So
I have a compliment for the fire department.
What
A
did we
friend of
do?
mine whose husband suffered either, she wasn't sure, she thought it was a stroke. He knows he's diabetic. He takes care of it. It's measured, and she had never seen him have a diabetic seizure, nor had he prepared for one. And they weren't sure what it was. They called 911, and Long Beach was there before the ambulance came and made a determination, and he didn't have to go to the hospital. So, thank you. And I know that she was very appreciative.
Well, thank you for the compliment.
Yeah.
We're getting to the point where we'll be able to do brain surgery one of these.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you.
The Fire Commission held their quarterly meeting on 3/19/26. We discussed the new fire truck. We discussed recent training initiatives, which included new engine training, pumping and hydrants, NIPSCO gas training, and the Hacienda pre-plan walkthrough. We discussed public outreach, which they're still doing their CPR classes, and a newsletter article is coming regarding lithium-ion batteries. We discussed duplicate addresses, and they have 3 new members and 2 returning members. And that was it for the Fire Commission. NERC, Colleen?
The NERC Executive Commission met on March 19th, just for an executive session. And the main topic of discussion was an onboarding program or an orientation session for new members. And it actually is scheduled for right after the next full commission meeting, which is this Thursday at 9. And 2026 officers will be appointed if we reach quorum this Thursday, which we're hoping. And then, like I said, the orientation session will be immediately after, which I will be attending as well. So.
Okay, thank you. Public Works, Kendra.
Actually, Mark's going to deliver this report.
The Public Works and Safety Committee met on Monday, March 23rd at 8 a.m. Under old business, there was a discussion reference Lakeshore Drive paving project, which all of you heard tonight. The F-550 snowplow truck that was ordered last fall. The anticipated delivery date is a little bit sooner than what was anticipated. It may be as early as this July, possibly the latest November, which is good for us. So we'll have it for our 2026 plowing season. So that's good news. Salt Barn project, there was an update on that. That's actually on tonight's agenda. Under new business, capital expenditure recommendation to purchase a new street sweeper for the town. That is on tonight's agenda. Spring leaf collection dates, April 20th through the 24th. Again, just a reminder, all leaves must be out by this Sunday evening, because when we start on Monday next week, we'll make one pass through the entire town Monday through Friday. So if you want to get your leaves picked up, please have them out Sunday. And then future capital expenditure discussion, reference our leaf vacs. We have 3 leaf vac machines that the town utilizes for leaf collection. All of them are aging, and we talked about replacements, which are currently about $135,000 or more for each machine. Under the water department report, the water superintendent shared with us that the fire hydrants that are remaining will all be painted this summer. So we have half to go. We did half last year. We will finish this summer with the remaining. The 2026 valve replacement project for Oriole Trail. What that is the length of Oriole Trail from Chastleton to Moore Road. We will be putting in various valves. So if we had a water main break, we can isolate it by neighborhood rather than shutting all of Oriole Trail down and every homeowner losing their water for a period of time. We're going to be putting in some additional valves. That project is part of the Water Department's capital expenditure project plan for this year. Part of that also will be putting a water tap along Oriole at the curbside for the community center. We do not have irrigation around the flagpole area, and there is a desire to add irrigation there in the future. So while this project is underway, it's cost effective just to drop a valve there while working on this project. And then lastly, our water superintendent, Greg Parrish, after nearly 24 years of service to the town of Long Beach, will officially be retiring. His last day is tomorrow, and then we wish him the very best on his retirement. We have a little surprise for him tomorrow, and we'll make his last day memorable for him. We're going to honor him tomorrow. The council's welcome to join us in this room at noon tomorrow if anybody would like. We're going to have some pizza and a cake for him and have an award for him for all his years of service. So a big thank you to Greg Parrish. Our assistant water superintendent, Austin Ashcraft, who's been with us for 7 years, who Greg has been mentoring. Austin will step into the role of water superintendent. He is certified, has his water licensing, and Greg has recommended that he take over. So we're very pleased with that as well. And that is it.
Thank you. Stormwater Board, Cindy?
The Stormwater Board will be meeting next quarter.
Thank you. Park Board, Kendra?
Park Board met on March 24th. Couple of updates from the Beach Garden Club. They're planning on cleaning up the courtyard at the community center. And they're also working with Maddie, who is an employee of the Park Board for Art in the Park. So they're getting that planning underway right now. And Maddie also has a first Saturday arts program scheduled for this Saturday for anybody interested on April 18th, the DIY Succulent Terrarium. People can sign up for that. Summer camp is scheduled for June 15th to July 31st. I believe there's still an art director position open and maybe even some others. So if anyone's interested, you can email, call town hall or me or Meg or Maddie, and we can get you that information. Art in the Park is scheduled for Saturday, July 25th. The Park Department accepted a bid and signed an agreement with a company called RVI, and they're going to meet with them to set up some more project target dates for the tennis and pickleball court project. So that's underway. They have discussed all the sand buildup at the stops. Notably, probably stop 30 is the worst, just from that huge storm one night that seemed to last a month, where all the sand blew onto Lakeshore Drive. And really the short story of it is we're just going to they're just going to let nature take its course, because any sand that blew onto the roadway is contaminated and came in contact with roadway salt and stuff can't be really thrown back on the beach. And to get crews or anybody to try and clean that up would be super expensive, and it could probably blow back at any moment. So I think, as what usually happens with the stops, natural foot traffic and just regular use will wear that back, and at any moment a new windstorm could come in and change that. So they just want everyone to be aware, like they're very aware that there has been sand buildup at a lot of stops and very inconsistent, and have not seen anything like that before in many, many years. So they're aware of that. Stop 22 right now is being worked on for new stairs. The goal is for that to be done by the end of April. Stop 24, still working on invasive clearing the invasive species there. Pizzo, I'm not sure how I pronounce it, but Pizzo. Okay. They also have worked with us at Stop 19. They're the company that has been hired to just keep that ongoing. So that's still in progress. And again, just a reminder that new plantings can't really be put in there until those invasives are completely gone, and then won't be, I think, until next season. So they're still in communication with that company to do step 24 and step 19. They're looking at a May date for a beach cleanup. They did not set that date, I believe. But it's going to be in May. And then there's going to be some resealing of cracks and repainting of lines at Melrose Park to just clean up that asphalt over there that's just old and needs some repair over there. And that's it.
If I could just add to the one comment on the sand at 30 and 31, and I apologize, I didn't get an email out to the council. Friday, we took the current street sweeper out and we ran the street sweeper down Lakeshore Drive. We hauled away 8 loads off of the street sweeper. But then unfortunately, the age of our street sweeper, which we have up for discussion tonight, they filled it with 15 gallons of hydraulic fluid that morning. We lost four gallons in a matter of the time we were out there. So the hydraulic leak caused us to take it back to the yard. But they did get 8 full loads up off of the roadway that we will be disposing of. So, and we hope to get back down there again in the following weeks, as well as County Highway. My office has been in communication with County Highway. They're addressing to our east from 31 east. They've been opening that roadway up for those of you who travel towards Duneland and Michiana. The county's working on that with payloaders, street sweepers, and they're hauling it off as well.
Thank you. Community Center, Anita.
The community center management team met on April 6th. We meet at the community center. The kitchen renovation is complete as of today. It's fabulous. So if anyone's thinking of doing anything, now is the time. We actually have a family that rented the, I guess it's not really the gym, but we call it the gym, last year for a week for their family reunion. You cannot cook in the kitchen, but you can warm things up, and they rented it again for another week. So it's just become, thanks to the work of the management team, Chief Swistek, and the town employees, it is just totally redone, the kitchen. It looks great. So there's a lot going on at the community center. There's going to be cleanup around the building with mulch. The playground is a special mulch. It was done last year, so that will be just moved around a little bit, not repurchased. Chief has been working on flat roof estimates to get somebody out there to look at the flat roof here at Town Hall and then at the community center. So we finally have some estimates on that. There's a drinking fountain that was replaced over at the community center, the same as the one here at Town Hall, so that you can fill your bottles. And Chief, what did you say last week? How many plastic bottles have been saved? I mean, it's just
In the first 2 months, we're about 700.
yeah. So there's a second one. There's one outside near the Y, so the other one will be replaced over there. The team's going to clean up the boiler room. I finally went down there last year one time, and it's quite a sight to behold. There's the people that work on the outer garden courtyard area. They keep all their things outside. So the community center is going to get a shed, so things will be organized. We have 3, we'll be getting our final third paint estimate in the next week or so. So hopefully we'll be able to get the exterior of the building worked on and painted, which will make a difference. And the Beach Garden Club, they're working on having a rain garden. So it's an area right outside the front of the community center. There's a little wooden fence, and it's very wet there. I think one of the members mentioned there used to be a tree there. Maybe there was a stump. Maybe the stump has been taken out, but it's really wet there. So they're working on putting some kind of a rain garden in there, similar to the one on June Way. Something to help that. So, yeah. Why is it wet? We looked at it. We don't, I mean, I don't know, but it has been wet. So they identified that area some months ago. So, I mean, we were over there Monday when there wasn't rain and it's wet. I mean, you can see the
I think it's
deer prints.
the pitch of the parking lot, how it's laid out, and then with the shoulder of the roadway, it just seems to collect in that one area.
So, and our next meeting is May 4th at 2:00 at the community center in room 13.
Thank you. Budget and Finance, Meg.
Budget and Finance did not meet in March, but just to summarize for the month, the bank reconciliations are completed. The cash allocation balances were distributed to council in the council meeting packet. Revenue and expense reports will be distributed this week, and projections and capital plans the capital plan will also be distributed, although you have a copy of the capital plan. Those are both updated. So we will definitely go over those at our April meeting. And our next meeting is May 5th at 10 a.m.
Thank you. Human Resources, Cindy.
I was not present at the meeting, so Meg is gonna.
Yep, I can
me out
speak on
here.
it. HR met on April 15th, and we completed the final review of the handbook for that committee. The handbook was then distributed to all employees for input, review, comments, or questions. Council review and discussion of the handbook is later on the agenda this evening. Our goal is for approval at the May council meeting and implementation June 1st, that we would distribute the approved handbook to all employees, and it would be our document going forward. So again, that's on the agenda this evening, and then our next meeting is May 20th at 9 a.m.
Thank you. Tree Board, Ellen.
Tree Board did not meet this month. We won't be meeting until June for our quarterly meeting. Unless you have questions for me, I don't have anything.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
The Building Commission met on 3/13 and 4/10. Permits approved, 2901 Roslyn for a pergola, 3016 Northmore for a fence, 2422 Hideaway Point for a new home, 1909 Lakeshore Drive for a mailbox retaining wall repair, 1700 Lakeshore Drive for demolition and a new home, 2207 Lakeshore Drive for addition and renovation, and 1636, 2060, 1304, 1706, 3040, 2110, and 2114, all on Lakeshore Drive, were all approved for sand maintenance with the stipulation that our building commissioner is going to walk the sites with the contractors before they move their sand, so everybody's on the same page. Permits denied, none, and the next meeting is May 8th at 1 p.m.
Joy, can I interject? I said the wrong dates for Human Resources. We met on March 18th, and our next meeting is April 15th at 9 a.m.
Okay,
I was ahead by a month.
thanks. That's all for Building Commission. The Board of Zoning Appeals met on 4/8/26. There was a preliminary hearing for 2011 Juneway that was set for a public hearing in May. They are seeking 2 setback variances. And the preliminary hearing for 2202 Lakeshore Drive was continued. Their next meeting is 5/13/26. APC, Anita.
Advisory Plan Commission met on March 16th. We have been amazed at the number of responses to the survey that APC worked on. It was McKenna, the company that worked on the comprehensive plan in 2016, thought that a good response would be 5 to 10%, and we are close to 400 responses from the residents, whether handwritten or using the QR code. They recently notified us that their program will be ending tomorrow. I have more that came in today, so I'll be scanning those and Meg will send those out. And even if some come in, I talked to one of the associates who's working with us, and we'll figure out a way to make sure that those are somehow, incorporated into it. So thank you, everybody. And APC is working on definitions for accessory building units and new house definitions. And we meet again a week from tonight, April 20th.
Thank you. Unfinished business. Anything on town signs?
We just haven't gotten a date yet from Tate Engine Surveying to we don't have a date yet set for the survey, but it should be coming soon. We're on the list, but no date set yet.
Okay, thank you. Review of quotes for construction of the new salt storage building. I think those are not ready.
We'd like to request to table that until your April 21st special town council meeting at 10 a.m. If by chance we are unable to complete the reviews, we would move it to the May monthly town council meeting, but at this time we'd like to table to your next special meeting.
Okay. Table to the special meeting. Okay, we're going to open a public hearing on the second reading for ordinance 2026-02, an ordinance of the town of Long Beach, Indiana, amending and or establishing town policies for records requests and fees for service. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak for or against this ordinance? Is there anyone on Zoom who would like to speak for or against this ordinance? Hearing none, I would close the public hearing. And I would make a motion to accept ordinance or to approve ordinance 2026-02. Do I have a second?
Second. Oh,
Go ahead.
Any discussion?
Second by Colleen.
I'll second it.
And Joy, could I just add, I did change just one word under section C. It originally had said that fees collected shall be deposited monthly, and that is changed to daily. So just a small, it had some wording after it that I removed, and then it is correct to be daily. So I'll distribute out what you're going to sign with that one small change.
Okay, with that change, I would amend my motion to approve with that change.
I will second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. New business, Fall Leaf Holloway contract for approval.
As part of our annual leaf collection process, each spring we contract with Felipovich Construction, who is a certified composter who hauls away the leaves that are collected from our street department garage, takes them to a compost facility. This cost is $19,400. The contract's been shared with the council, and we are respectfully requesting that we continue with the annual contract for 2026 to have the leaves removed from our town facility and taken to the compost center.
I would make a motion to approve. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Select special town council meeting date. The proposed date is April 21st, 2026, beginning at 10 a.m. I think we have 4 of us that have already said we could make that.
I should be able to be on Zoom, but I can't be in person. But I
Okay,
can do Zoom,
okay.
pretty sure.
I would make a motion to approve that date.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chief, monthly leaf fee, explanation of the various expenses, equipment utilized for annual leaf collection.
In recent months, the town council voted to increase the monthly residential fee for leaf collection from $10 to $15 per month. So we went from $120 annually to the new cost is $180 each year per household. Today, I reached out to the town of Michiana Shores and asked that they share with me their annual price to their residents. They charge $71 semi-annually for a total of $142 per year, which is slightly less than us. However, they only do 1 week of cleanup in the fall and then 1 week in the spring. We offer 5 weeks in the fall and then 1 week in the spring. So I just wanted to share a comparison to a town nearby and also give some explanation as to some of the other things that come out of this revenue fund. Healy's Landscaping is under a contract with us in the fall and the spring. We pay them $50,000 in the fall, $5,000 in the spring. For those fees, they provide their trucks and their personnel, so extra staff that then pull behind the truck our 3 leaf vacs that the town owns and maintains. Some residents were under the impression that those were Healy's pieces of equipment. They're actually our pieces of equipment. We maintain them. Felipovich, their contract, as was just approved, typically in the spring is roughly $19,000. This year it was $19,400. And sometimes we have to have an additional pickup depending on the amount of leaves that we compile at the garage, which usually is anywhere from $5,000 to $8,000 more per year. The cost of diesel fuel for the 3 leaf vacs, that is all covered by the town. The cost of repairs and maintenance or any other parts for the 3 leaf machines is all an expenditure of the town. The cost of labor for the town employees to maintain the vacs, load the trucks with leaves, use our payloader at the street department garage, and clean the storm basins of leaves throughout the community. Those are all in-house labor costs to the town of Long Beach. A street sweeper is maintained by the town, which is necessary to clean the streets of leaf debris from vehicles driving over the leaves throughout the year. That is coming up on our agenda here shortly. Stormwater infrastructure that requires annual maintenance to clean the leaves from the catch basins. As was discussed earlier tonight on the Lakeshore Drive project, every one of our catch basins has a filter in it. And when those filters get clogged up, it's the responsibility of our staff to go through and clean the debris from those filters, which prevents these materials from getting into our dry wells. Office staff from the clerk's office, the water department, my office, reference the leaf process from billing, invoicing, following up, capital fund expenditures. Each year, a specific amount of funding from the $15 per month is necessary for future capital expenditures. Those expenditures are for trucks, leaf vacs, street sweeper, leaf blowers, maintenance and parts, and then anything related also to our stormwater infrastructure from time to time. So I just wanted to take a moment to kind of explain. I've had a couple residents, like I said, reach out in recent weeks asking, why are we increasing $5 a month when we're only paying $50,000 in the fall for a cleanup? There's so many more, costs that are related to this that we wanted to share that tonight with everyone to kind of give a better perspective of where your monthly fee goes to. The town does a great job of, maintaining the fund. Meg each month reports that to the council, and then any expenditures that come out of the fund, she reports those as well. So, thank you.
Do you want to speak?
Last winter, Haley did not fulfill his agreement to pick up the leaves, and we put them out. Find out what the deadline was, and the after Thanksgiving, it just didn't pick them up, and that's not a big deal, although it was this last winter, because the leaves were just a mess all winter. and, snow plowing and stuff. I think I caught in the snow plow, and I was just really upset about that. So I don't know if anybody else knows about that.
Oh,
Chief knows. Right.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Anyway, I just, if we're gonna pay $1,000, and they have an obligation to be there at a certain date, it should flake out the day after Thanksgiving, not that time. The weather was fine. So it should be postponed.
Thank you, David. They did actually come back and fulfill their obligation to the town. It was the first week of March. They gave us 4 full days where their staff came in and worked after the snowfall had melted, and that was all done at no cost to the town. So that was, related to their their fall contract. So they did do the first week of March and did not charge the town for any of those services for them those first 4 days. And I will agree, this last fall, I speak to our street superintendent. He tells me in his 34 years of service to the town, that last fall was one of those years that he hasn't seen in a long time, that we didn't get them picked up the way we normally do. We've got plans moving forward. We apologize for that, but the weather this year was just pretty unpredictable.
Thank you. Duplicate Lakeshore Drive addresses. I think since the APC is the one who assigns addresses, maybe the APC, you could put this on the agenda for discussion and a recommendation to the council.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
I did talk to the fire department and they, have all kinds of answers, like you add an L to everyone on Lakeshore Drive, or
Did you want to explain what we're talking about, or do you just want to, now that you brought it up, is anyone interested?
there are duplicate addresses in Michigan City and in Long Beach on Lakeshore Drive. And so when they, fire department or the first responders get the call, they don't know, is it in Michigan City or is it in Long Beach? And there's been a lot of confusion with that. Now, I don't know if it's a lot of addresses or we just have to look at a few addresses, but it's been a problem for a long time.
It's been a problem for a very long time, and I just learned about it, and so yeah, what do you do? I don't know, so I guess we'll discuss it.
There must be an answer, so.
Must be an.
I can give you an example. I think it was 2-3 years ago. I responded with one of our other deputies. It was 17 something Lakeshore Drive. They initially gave it the dispatch as being in Long Beach. It was actually in Michigan City. It was in their 1700 block. And it was a gentleman that was in a full heart attack needing CPR. So we wasted quite a few minutes down in Long Beach when we should have been sent to Michigan City. And when we got to the Michigan City address, we started CPR when we got there. But unfortunately, the gentleman had already passed before we even arrived. But that just shows the seriousness of these addresses for us as emergency responders. Minutes count for us. And so, not saying that in that particular case, it could have made a difference, but in a case in the near future, it could. So it's very important that we try to find a way to address this.
Is that when you were here in Long Beach?
Yeah, it was a couple of years ago, probably 2-3 years ago. Mm-hmm.
I just want to add, unless I'm missing something, because this was one guy at the APC that came and actually was complaining about package delivery. He was not complaining about services or anything. He said, because they just bought the home in October, I think. And so he was frustrated with his Amazon delivery not getting to him. Right. So that's where I think this is initiating from. And then actually Larry was on the call and said that they didn't agree that there should change an address because
That's a whole different story.
Is that the same thing though?
No, that one's different, Kendra.
It's different. Okay. Because you said to go to the APC. Okay. Okay.
I don't know if you put an E for East for Long Beach or, how we can differentiate between the two,
Never
but
find it because I spent most of my lifetime in Chicago, so I still don't know which way the lake is other than Chicago.
No, I mean, in the,
I'd go the wrong way.
I mean, in the address, like 1700 East Lakeshore Drive, and then anything with an E in it would be a Long Beach address, or I'm just throwing out suggestions. So
I'll go out and identify how many
yeah,
there
there's just a handful of them.
Okay.
So
Okay,
Maybe it's one of the police.
thank you. Town parking lot maintenance, Chief.
So recently we had two independent companies come out, Indiana Asphalt and Site Services, were asked to evaluate the 4 town asphalt parking areas to do some maintenance on our parking lots. Both companies agreed to extend the lifespan of our asphalt parking lots, that we've neglected many of these over the years, and that we should begin to crack seal, seal coat, and restripe these parking lots. Therefore, we had asked for quotes from both companies for the town hall parking lot, which includes the lot behind us here to the west, the new public safety parking lot out back. That was one of the areas. The second is the community center parking areas. And then the last one was Melrose Park, to include the asphalt area in the playground and all striping and just striping the tennis courts across the street. We're not recommending to seal coat and crack seal across at the tennis courts. There's a possibility of the park moving forward on a project there. So we're going to hold off on that one. We're just going to stripe the lines. Indiana Asphalt's price and Site Services for the price of crack sealing, seal coating, and restriping all the parking lots. Indiana Asphalt came in the cheapest, $15,120. Site Services, $18,057, which was $2,937 more expensive than Indiana Asphalt. After the street superintendent and myself had reviewed the quotes, it's our recommendation to the town council this evening that we move forward with approving the contract with Indiana Asphalt for $15,120. These services, this expenditure would be paid from the 2026 operating fund. There was no need for any additional appropriation or taking out of any other fund. It would be out of this year's budget. And I've checked with Clerk Collins as well, and we have the appropriate funds to move forward with this request.
Just a clarification either for Mark or Meg, is the Parks Board taking some money out of their budget? Because at the meeting, they said they were
Yes.
$2,500, right?
If we go with the Indiana Asphalt, it would only be $525. So,
Okay, but
Yep.
money's being taken from the Parks part. Okay, good. Okay.
Correct.
That's what they wanted
Mhm.
or new.
A great
Thank you.
question. And community center management team was made aware of this, and they're very excited because the parking lot, the community center, we walked it, and clearly you can see the crack sealing that needs to occur there, and seal coating and restriping that to include the parking arrows would be added to the community center, directing the traffic through the parking lot.
I would make a motion to approve the Indiana's asphalt quote at $15,120.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Purchase of 2026 Butcher Street Sweeper. Capital expenditure.
In recent weeks, we've been sharing several emails with the council. We have taken the opportunity in our street department to test and evaluate 2 street sweepers. One is from Joe Johnson Equipment, and that was an Elgin street sweeper. And then the other was from M-Tech, which is a Booker V50 street sweeper. This is a mechanical and a vac combination type street sweeper. Through the Sourcewell government assistant quoting process, they gave us a Sourcewell price from M-Tech for the Booker V50 for $399,560. And then the Elgin was priced out at $408,373.20, which is approximately $8,813.20 higher. After testing both of those pieces of equipment, our street superintendent is respectfully asking that the council consider moving forward with recommendation to purchase the MTech Booker machine. Originally, it comes with a 2-year warranty. However, Booker has extended an additional 3 years for a 5-year maintenance contract on that machine with no additional cost to the town. And that additional 3 years was at $11,500. So they are not charging for that additional warranty. And then they're also adding the additional discount that is on the quote that was shared with all of you, an additional $20,000. So it is the recommendation that we go with that piece of equipment. I will share, as Kendra reported during the park board report, Lakeshore Drive, along with some of the surrounding streets off of Lakeshore, this year have inherently seen a lot more sand coming off of the lakefront. This morning, I was talking to the street superintendent, for instance, over at Melrose Park, from the recent rains, the amount of sand and other debris washing down the Melrose. Northmore, I've shared pictures with the town council of some of the residents have sent us pictures requesting that we clean up some of the areas on Northmore, which we did do a week ago. However, our street sweeper was down, so the crew went out with brooms and shovels in the truck and cleaned it up that way. We have looked at leasing options on a rental basis, which can be costly. We're also at the mercy of the rental companies of when the street sweepers are available. But it is the recommendation from our street superintendent that we consider purchasing the street sweeper so we have that piece of equipment in-house 24/7 available to use after a storm or any other special need. For instance, if we go out and dig up a water main and we're doing work in the road, after we complete our water main repair, we could then come through with the street sweeper and clean the street after we make the repairs. The machine we have currently is a 1995. It's 31 years old. I asked the two manufacturers if this piece of equipment had any trade-in value to the town, if we were to offer it as a trade towards a new purchase. And one of them laughed at me and said if he had a museum, he would be more than happy to take it. And we did have it out, as we said, our old one last Friday. And after filling it with 15 gallons of hydraulic fluid in a matter of hours, it lost 4 gallons. And the repair is quite costly for that.
That one was bought used as well, wasn't it?
It was bought used, but this is a new machine that we're looking at.
Chief, that's a question I have is, why not look at buying a used one again? Because my concern is, $400,000 for the machine, $60,000 in interest fees for, paying it over time, the insurance for it, the maintenance, the repairs. $30,000 does seem like a lot. And yeah, you don't have as much flexibility, but you would have many years of rental for the price of the machine, and it probably wouldn't be worth anything in 10 years. So would it make sense to, maybe even rent for a year, look at other options? Maybe you would be able to find a used machine that would work.
Great question. I had asked if there were any demo units or any used units that we could consider at this time. The units that they have available that are used are CDL units. None of our drivers have CDLs. So unfortunately, we couldn't purchase, a used one. The V50 that we're looking at is a non-CDL unit. So it's a little bit smaller than the units that are available in the used market right now. But to your point, we would have to wait until possibly one of the V50s would come available. They did share with me that our community is kind of unique, that we don't have any CDL drivers because most communities are buying the CDL, which are the bigger street sweepers. Our street sweeper that we're proposing tonight is just a little bit smaller capacity, a couple yards less on the back end, which brings the weight under the CDL requirement. But other than that, all the mechanicals and everything are equivalent to a CDL unit. So, but I did inquire if there are any used ones, and there aren't at this time.
So,
Even if we rented, I mean, for example, Tom was out because of a death in the family. You never know when you might need it. So you could rent it for the month and you still have to be. And it may not be the right month, or we may have an employee who goes out and we may not be able to utilize it as much as we would want. That's just my personal thought on that.
where's the money coming from? I see in the 5-year capital plan, we've got 5 payments of $85,300.
Yes, I can
Meg
touch
can,
on that.
yeah.
Yes, so I did give each of you a copy of the capital plan. Finally, after the year rollover, the projections in the capital plan are updated. So you'll see on the left, usually we go over this in the budget and finance meeting, but because it took a little longer than usual, the actual expenses are what we've spent thus far this year. The projected expenses for 26, you'll see under streets, we've added the street sweeper and at 85,300. That is the 5-year financing option. So the only things I'll point out, so as you go down the list by department and you go to that page 2, the places, the big capital fund where we would pay the placeholder where this yearly expense could be paid from would be CCD, the Cumulative Capital Development Fund.
Okay.
And that one, the tax levy comes in twice a year, June and December. So we haven't received that levy yet that was planned in the budget. It will come in June. And the balance right now is, I think it's 200,000. And that was after transferring 50,000 into the rainy day fund at the beginning of the year. We're due to spend 350 out of that this year and next year. So when you go down to our difference, that shortfall of the 197, that is due to the tennis court rebuild of 250 and the town signs of 75. So if you removed both of those, we would have a positive balance of almost 128,000 in the capital plan. The park board fund has 200,000 balance, right? Or sorry, it has 288,000, I believe. And park board had some carryover. So they had a big project that is going to be was finished paying for this year. So park board's going to spend 119,000. Even after the parks spends an additional 53,000, which is their plans for this year, they would still have a cash balance of 235,000, which mostly, depending what council and the park board wanted to do with the tennis court rebuild, at 250, Parks Board has a $235,000 balance. So we can comfortably remove that or have other plans for that being paid for, if that makes sense. The town signs as well. If we still have, what did I say, 127,000 positive. If we wanted to pay the 75 for the town signs, we could. So we can still do everything on the capital plan, including this new expense for the street sweeper for the next 5 years.
I do understand that.
Just wanted to explain.
Well, thank you. I appreciate
since we
that.
finally have this
I mean,
updated.
the only other thing I would throw out too is what was raised tonight, the what if we don't get the grant for the street, they're still going to need a lot of maintenance. And I think, it would be maybe frugal to have that little cushion for the streets just in case, because we have to repave streets. If we don't get that grant, then we're gonna, really be in a pickle. Whereas, this is a big chunk of money.
I think to Cindy's question, and Meg, correct me if I'm wrong, the leaf collection fund, the revenue account that we're going to propose paying for the street sweeper, we can only use that fund for things related to leaf collection. We can't move that money for like road improvements or that. And we can't carry a large balance either, correct, Meg?
Correct. So we have those two places. You'll see in the pink under streets, we're going to pay a little bit early that F-550 snowplow, 70,000 this year, 80,000 next year. That is both planned from the garbage and leaf. On that next page, then that there's 150. So you'll see years 1 and 2, that 85,000 would be paid from CCD. Year 3, it would be paid from the garbage leaf. So this affords us the capability to keep our plans for the leaf vac truck, all the items that Mark went over related to leaf collection, stormwater. So it would utilize both of those funds.
And I agree, Cindy, to your point. It's a very valid point and can be a concern, but the unfortunate thing is we can't transfer from that fund and move the money to another fund. It has to be utilized for purchases such as this, leaf vacs, trucks. And I think that's the future plan, is the 3 leaf vacs eventually will be replaced as well.
I'll just chime in that I'm more comfortable too with renting at least for a year or two to see how it goes. Cause I feel like, I would love to be able to have it 100%, like no doubt. But like, I feel like that's not an emergency purchase. Like when the snow falls and even the leaves to some degree, like you need to get that snow removed, but the street sweeper does not have to come out exactly on like Monday the 15th. Even if a storm or something happens on a 15th, like you can get it out in a week or a couple of days. I just feel like for the expense, I would like to see how it would go to rent it for a time being and see if we can get by, because it is such a ginormous expense.
Another point I failed to mention is that renting a non-CDL unit, there are very few that are available. Most of them are all CDL units that are available for rent, which would then decrease our availability. That was one of the other concerns that we had about the renting portion, is that there aren't many in the rental pool that are non-CDL. That's why specifically we were looking at buying a unit, because then our drivers wouldn't have to be CDL drivers.
What does it take to get somebody CDL certified?
Yeah, it's, as Chris indicated, it's at least a $5,000 or more investment into all the requirements that our drivers would have to go through, the schooling and testing. And then I forget how often they have to go back and get recertified. Right now, all of our vehicles and equipment we have are all under the under the CDL requirement. And that's why we wanted to continue to stay under that, so that we weren't investing in having our drivers getting licensed every year.
Mark, how long, so our current unit, I think, was from 93 and it was used.
It's on 1995.
Okay. So just my mind goes to the long term. So if we pay this in 5 years, I guess, can you just describe what that means with ownership then?
We would have the annual maintenance. Tom has been doing the maintenance currently on the street sweeper that we have, unless he encounters something that he can't handle, like putting on the new brushes, the new brooms on the bottom and that. Tom would typically handle that in-house. The servicing of the oil, the spark plugs, all the preventative type maintenance. The unit that we're proposing this evening, the service center would come out of Ohio and would come here to service the machine in-house, so that we wouldn't have to ship it or drive it to a service center. So they have service techs that actually come out and service it on site, both as part of the warranty and then after the warranty as well.
So they're going to be doing that for 5 years.
For 5 years, they will have a warranty on the machine.
And by that time, we'll have it paid for. I'm actually in favor of purchasing it.
And I'm just curious, what would that cost for somebody to fly out to service it once the warranty is over?
I think they have other units throughout Northwest Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, and then their service techs are, I guess, like they live in different areas. So their home base is out of Ohio, but they may have a tech that lives in, say, Elgin, Illinois, and then he services Northwest Indiana and Illinois. So they have service techs strategically placed throughout their market where they place their machines at.
Right. I have a question so let's say we rent one. What happens if we break something on it? What
Good question.
What if we had to pay what if we broke it?
Yeah, if it's an accident, we would be responsible for it. If it's something mechanical, typically on other things that we rent, it falls back on the people we rented it from.
Okay.
Maybe if it blew a motor, for instance, and if we didn't do anything negligent, then they would be responsible for it. But otherwise, if we, bumped a tree with it and crushed the side of the machine, we would be responsible for it. But yeah.
But if we owned it, I mean, would it be any different?
If we owned it for the first 5 years, they maintain it for us. And then after that, then we would have to have their service techs out if we couldn't repair it in-house.
Okay.
If I've looked at both the machines during the demos, and the way they've structured these new machines for a lot of the mechanicals and that, there's a door on the passenger side of the machine that comes up, and everything's in there. It's labeled for all the various pumps, the wiring and that. Even Tom agreed that they seem very user-friendly to service. And we're very blessed that Tom's mechanically inclined, that he can do a lot of this. So hopefully we wouldn't have a lot of mechanical issues, but you never know. I mean, to Cindy's point, things are expensive to maintain,
I think too, our streets are more challenging than most because we do have all the sand and all that. I just wonder if
They are, and that's why they're recommending that we go with the machine that we have in front of you tonight, is that machine is able to handle roadways that have the contour that we have out here. When we have both the vendors out, they drove the machines with one of our employees in the cab with them. And, there's a big difference between the two. The one we're recommending picked up more of the fine particles than the first machine that we tested, which was actually a little bit more expensive. So,
And are the model that you're looking at, is it projected to last 30 years like the current one?
I would say not. It's no different than your appliances at home aren't built the way they used to be built. So, we'd probably be lucky to get 20 years out of this one compared
Well,
to.
I mean, still,
Yeah.
you add up 20 years of renting.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I am for it. I just was curious about some.
For instance, our Freightliners, our big snowplow trucks that we plow with, 2 of our largest snowplow trucks are 2012s. So they're 14 years old. And we've been changing out brake lines and other pieces. We just had to put a new clutch. After this past winter, we had to put a new clutch on one of them. We could have sent it to the truck center in South Bend, had it serviced. Tom did it in-house, ordered the clutch, and probably saved us $3,000 to $5,000 doing it in-house. I actually stopped by the garage and was watching Tom and Cody both had that front engine tore apart in our Freightliner. After this last snowstorm, they put it all back together, and that truck sounds as quiet as it should be. But prior to that, with the clutch out, that truck was extremely loud. So again, I think mechanically we can service a lot of things in-house. Some things we won't be able to, and we'll have to send out, and we'll get quotes and bring it before the council for anything over 5,000. But yeah, but I see everybody's points on both the renting and the purchasing, and yeah.
Did you make a motion, Joy?
Yes, I'll make a motion. I know we don't all agree on this, but I would make a motion to purchase the 2026 Butcher Street Sweeper.
And that's at the 5-year rate, which also is a good interest rate. And I would second your motion, by the way.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Nay, opposed?
Yep, opposed.
Okay, passes 3-2. Request for approval to hire deputy clerk administrative assistant.
Yes, so as you were aware, Deanna Carlson retired. She let us know on March 1st that with 30 days, that March 31st would be her last date. And at the last council meeting, council approved the posting of that opening for the deputy clerk administrative assistant. We interviewed 5 candidates. We received many applications, and the person that stood out to myself and my coworker Diane, who is our water department manager, who the 3 of us work closely together in the clerk's office. We are all in the accounting system, and so I'm asking tonight to hire Lori Vopat. So Lori actually applied for the opening on that Mark had before hiring Kayla, and she interviewed very well back then for that position. She applied for this one, and she's been at her same current job for about 4 years or 5 even. And she helps manage the plasma center out in Michigan City. And so with what her current pay is, I'm asking for a pay rate of $22.50. The range for this position, I think, is $20 to $26 per hour. So we'll have some savings just with Deanna having been here so long. Lori would need to get on insurance along with her husband, Matt. So Matt Vopat is an officer with the town. Lori is very excited. I think she will be a really good addition. Diane and I both thought, that she interviewed very well, and we're both excited and hopeful that she'll be a good hire. Her start date would be April 27th. So she will put in her 2 weeks tomorrow and start 1 day earlier than 2 weeks on that Monday, if approved this evening. And again, she would just have regular benefits that are stated for a new employee in the handbook. Are there any questions?
Fabulous handbook.
No?
I would make a motion to approve Meg's recommendation to hire Lori Vopat to replace Deanna.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, welcome, Lori.
Welcome, Lori.
Thank you all.
Town employee job openings.
So we have 2 openings, one for the street department laborer position. How that came about is with the retirement of our water superintendent, Austin Ashcraft, the assistant superintendent, would move up to superintendent. And then in-house, we had advertised it to see if any of our current employees were interested. And Cody Downs, who is our current street department laborer, we actually hired Cody from the City of LaPorte's water department. He's experienced in locating. He's familiar with the water operations from the LaPorte City Water Department. So he is wanting to move over to the water department, where he will begin to train and get his water certification at some point in either the next year to 2 years. So therefore, it opens up the street department laborer position. And then also 2 weeks ago, we found out that our building inspector has taken a position with the National Park Service, and it opens up the part-time employment spot for our building inspector. So we're just looking for permission to begin the process to bring forward to the council a potential candidate in the near future for those 2 positions. The goal for the street department laborer position is to have a recommendation to you at your May council meeting, because Greg Parrish's last day on the books, I believe, is May 22nd. And then if we bring forward a candidate to you at your May meeting 2 weeks after that would put us around that week of the May 22nd, so that we would be back to full staff within the Public Works Department. And then the building inspector is probably going to be a little bit tougher to find somebody that has the qualifications to meet the needs of both construction knowledge, electrical knowledge. I did reach out to a couple people that I may know of people specifically qualified in that area, asking them to recommend potential applicants to the town. So we'll see if we get any applicants once we release the job posting.
Okay, thank you. We've all received a copy, I think, of the new town handbook, which we haven't had time to really consume yet, so we will put that on the May agenda for approval at that time. And Chris, I'm going to look to you to discuss the resolution settlement of the Michigan City Sanitary District matter.
So before you have a copy of a mutual release and settlement agreement that has been prepared and sent to the district's council, which he returned a copy that he represented was approved, which is the one you have. And what it does is bring, if approved tonight, brings to an end longstanding litigation over the failed sewer project. It's been pending since January of 2023. As you know, those of you, as you participated in discussions, and we've been involved in this protracted litigation. The court at some point entered summary judgment, just in full transparency to everybody of the status. We filed a motion to correct errors, which was pending and set for hearing. And depending on how that went, there was potential for appeals, further litigation, and in the efforts and discussions back and forth in terms of what additional litigation costs could be, as well as other expenses that could be tagged along as part of this, right? This agreement is the result of settlement negotiations, which ultimately provides for the town to make a payment of $250,000 under the contract, and then make 2 additional payments by the end of 2027, 2028 in the amount of $87,500. And in return for that, the district is going to authorize and release. You have an engineer that's in common. So with the goal and understanding that some of that work may be used in an asset for the Lakeshore Drive project. And then both sides will make the efforts to file the necessary documentation to set aside the summary judgment and release or ask the court to dismiss the court action. So with that, you are ending your need to continue to respond to pending litigation as part of your State Board of Accounts audits, and having this pending and the uncertainty of it, certainly entitled to fight along if that were the case. But this is the result of, at the end of the day, trying to bring this longstanding dispute to an end and with the goal of moving forward. Any questions for me?
Now, Meg, this will come out of the rainy day fund, is that correct?
Correct. This initial payment will come from rainy day as well as the second payment. And then our interest is holding steady. March was $8,700. So hopefully after this is paid off, we will build back up again.
Yeah, and just to add one more point, the uncertainty of this last legislative session and the effects of last year and the unknown. So again, all of those factor, and I say that mostly for the benefit of the public, of what drives you to make this decision, in addition to deciding to take the higher road and move forward. So I also wanted to add that weighed heavily into deciding to try to resolve it, and the district has agreed as well. So It's up to you. And with that, if you're inclined to approve that and sign it, then I will work with their attorney and coordinate the payment as well as the obligations that puts back on the district to comply.
I would say since the judge said we would owe them $510,000 and this is 425, plus we're saving other money and getting the engineering, I would make a motion to approve.
I would second.
Any discussion?
I'm probably the only one, but I'm vehemently opposed because we did not break this contract, but I don't think my vote matters because I think I'm the only one, so I'm opposed, but go ahead and vote and let's move on.
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Opposed.
4-1, settlement passes. Any council comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, everyone.